Septic Shock Road trip, and we're putting pedal to the metal because we don't have much time, so we're going to get through this episode quick. Hello, Ron. How are you?
Good. How are you? Where are we now?
Tennessee.
Tennessee. Get out of the road, you Tennessee hippies.
There we go. So, there we go. So if you didn't do that, we wouldn't get all the likes
Okay.
that we normally
We
get
get it.
and all
Okay,
the
yeah, go on. Yeah. So, yeah. Like
whatever.
and subscribe.
No, we're not doing that on this show. This is a
No.
serious show, yeah. Right. So, two films out of Tennessee. First up from 1972, Dear Dead Delilah. I'd never seen this before, assuming you hadn't either. And the reason,
Nope.
well, look, obviously, films from the golden age of independent regional horror from the United States. But also the other reason I chose this is because it's directed and written by John Farris, who is, of course, a very, very, very famous writer of horror fiction, right? I suppose a lot of people would know him because a few years after this, Brian De Palma turned his novel The Fury into a film, right? And also at a certain point, even though he'd been writing before Stephen King, I think at a certain point Stephen King big upped one of his novels, and you get the okay from Stephen King, and then so yeah, John Farris is a pretty big hitter in the world of horror fiction. I would say.
I like horror fiction, but I don't know him. So
Yeah, I read some of his things. He's definitely worth reading. This isn't based on any of his books or anything, but he did write the screenplay, and you can kind of tell that the screenplay is written by not your average screenplay hack, right? It's like in terms of
right, yeah,
some of the dialogue
yeah,
and stuff, it's trying to be a little bit
literary, yeah.
a little bit different. I mean, it doesn't really work ultimately, but you can feel there's something there. So it's Nashville, 1943. We see a young woman with a somewhat she's got a slightly kind of disfigured. I couldn't tell if she's disfigured or if she's been beaten up or she just like has a birthmark or something.
I thought it was that she was beaten up, and that was why
and she retaliated or something.
Why she retaliated. I thought, or
yes,
that she was
I'm
beaten up
not
by
sure either.
or that she was beaten up by the husband or the father of the baby, and then that's why the mom didn't want them to be together or something. I don't know, and that's why she was like, we belong together," or he's, or whatever she said. I can't remember, but so I
Yeah,
thought it
it's
was
an
just
odd
like
one because
syndrome.
flashbacks don't really give you any more information either,
But
really.
also because she's the character that's the other main character, right, in the future, and she doesn't have that disfigurement. So I figured it had to be
She
that that was
still,
beaten up.
yeah, she still does. Yeah, it is interesting. I don't know. It's an odd one. So yeah, so played by Anne Gibbs, who was in Paul Bartel's Private Parts a few years after this, and she goes inside, and then we see her. She comes out, and now she's turned into Patricia Carmichael, who plays Luddy, right? In her only film, I think, and she's a large woman, just come out of a institution, just like crazy fat Ethel in the criminally insane films, I suppose. But this is a very different type of film. And she's just wandering about, right? She just has nowhere to go. In an odd bit of plot contrivance, gets run into by some dude playing football in the park, right?
Yeah.
And they kind of help
She
her
goes
out.
unconscious, apparently.
Yeah, she gets knocked unconscious. They never apologize, I notice.
No,
Sorry,
they
we
don't.
knocked
Yeah.
you fucking unconscious. But yeah, one of them is, who is it now? Who's like the kind of sexy nurse character? Oh yeah, Elizabeth Ellie.
Elizabeth Ice.
Ice, that's the one. Yeah, who was on Dark
Yeah.
Shadows a little bit, it seems.
All
Wasn't
right.
much of anything else. Yeah, so she kind of takes her in, and because she's a nurse, but she's also lives at this big kind of it's a slave plant. former plantation kind of house, right? Like a Southern Gothic house you'd expect, right?
Mm.
And the whole extended kind of family is then, being all kind of horrible to each other, as you would expect
Mm.
in this kind of ruled over by Agnes Moorehead, of course,
Mm.
very famous old school actress. Started off,
Mm.
with Orson Welles and stuff like that, and in a role originally meant for Betty Davis. And
Mm.
you can kind of see it's
Right.
in that post whatever happened
Right.
to Baby
Yes.
Jane kind of
Right.
older women matriarch horror. I say horror, but
Mm.
more, I don't know, psychological kind of thrillery kind of, yeah.
Mystery.
Yeah, and a whole bunch of the extended, all these characters who, it's old wealth, but it's old wealth going to seed, right? And everyone's kind of
Mm.
fighting over the scraps. And
Mm.
Luddy is taken in to be Agnes Moorehead's kind of assistant, looking after her. Um, and then at a certain point, she says, "Oh, actually, there's a fortune hidden somewhere on the grounds. Her father's fortune, right, which he got from pretending some horses got killed and barns burned down and
Yeah.
insurance scam or
The
something."
horse money, or don't they call it the horse money or something?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a whole stash of this cash somewhere on the grounds, and she's decided as the matriarch, whoever finds it gets to keep it. The other people will get a little handout here and there. So yeah, so the stage is set for, backstabbing and everyone looking for the money, and some people end up with their heads cut off, and we kind of think, oh, it must be this Luddy character 'cause she killed her mother with an axe and she's been in the asylum, and she has flashbacks, and so that's basically the setup. And of course, there's a kind of surprise reveal, which is, I suppose it's surprising, but I didn't care by the time I got there, so it was a kind of a moot
There.
point, really.
Yeah. All the characters are so like bland and generic that I even when it was like the reveal, I was like, I don't even remember who that is. I was like,
Yeah,
oh, it's that guy. Okay. I don't remember. Yeah. So it was,
yeah.
yeah.
The only characters that are slightly kind of memorable, I suppose, are, I suppose our lead Luddy
Yeah.
is a, you don't get many leads in movies that look like that for a start,
Sure. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that are kind of borderline sympathetic, I suppose. So she's kind of interesting.
Mm.
I'd like to see a different film with her in. I think that would be kind of
Yeah.
interesting. And the
Yeah.
only
I
other
think she was
character
meant
was,
to be like a red herring, I guess, of some kind,
yeah,
because she's in the mental institution. She's supposedly killed her mother in the beginning, but you don't
right.
really know the situation. And they didn't never really explain what happened there, really.
No,
So,
no, no.
and
I'm
why
still,
she cut off her mother's arm, but yeah, it was
yeah,
all
yeah.
very kind of
It is
vague.
weird. Um, And then the only other character that made me laugh was when the cousin character, turns up with not his wife, someone else's wife, it seems, into, and she's quite funny because she's really quite wowed by this old wealth, and she really wants to be sophisticated, doesn't she? And someone says they're
Uh,
going to Paris, and she's like, "Oh, do you love it?" And stuff. She has one line which is quite funny where her husband Morgan is digging up and he's getting pissed off and he's drinking her martinis or whatever, and she keeps asking, "How many olives do you want in your martini?" or whatever.
oh yeah,
And she has I'm paraphrasing, but it's something along the line. She says, "Well, that's the difference between you and me, is I would never think to make a martini without an olive in it," which is like a kind of like proof of her
yeah,
sophistication,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
I thought that was
Yeah.
actually quite funny. That character was the only
Mm.
character I got a sense of. Oh, okay, she's a kind of amusing,
Mm.
kind of stupid, kind of for sophisticated
Right.
kind of character. But no, you're right. The rest of them all just kind of, I had difficulty telling them apart now and again, right? They're
Yeah,
all,
I was like, yeah. When it was revealed, I was like, wait, who is that again?
yeah,
Like, have we even seen that guy before? Like, oh, okay. Yeah, I
especially like
actually had to like
the Ray
go
character.
back to
Oh,
the
is he
beginning. I was
Ray
like,
or is he the
oh, it was that guy.
doctor? Yeah. And which one's the
Yeah, yeah,
junkie? I'm not quite sure
yeah.
which one is. Yeah, yeah.
It
Mm.
was like a bad episode of Dynasty.
Right. You mean
Yeah,
every episode died as
yeah. Or an even worse episode of Dynasty. So yeah. I
right.
know it was. I thought it started out pretty strong. I thought the opening sequence was quite good with her with the
Yes.
baby and the. Yeah, I was like, oh, this kind of made me sit up. I was like, oh, this might be something interesting. It was quite. atmospheric and well done, and kind of like, oh, but then it just sort of like, the rest of it, I didn't care at all about what was happening. There was like no
No.
interest at all. So it was, yeah, it was very, yeah, bland.
Yeah, ultimately it's a
Maybe
bit of a
maybe
shame
it
because
would have
like
worked better. Maybe it would have worked better as a novel, which is, as you said, he's a novelist. Maybe it's more of like a
yeah, but it's
novel kind of
not.
thing, right? So,
Yeah. But no,
but I mean,
like you
he's
said,
a
it's got
novelist though, right? So maybe he thinks in novel form,
maybe so.
but then
Yeah,
it
he
doesn't
never
translate
directed.
to screenplays as well.
Yeah, he never directed anything else as far as I know. And like you said, yeah, it does have a certain amount of atmosphere at the
Mm.
beginning. It's interesting as well. I was thinking about this, considering how many mostly, well, almost all 70s. How many films have we watched now that are basically variations on the, old Dark House reading of the will thing? And you tend to think, oh,
Yeah.
that's something like from the 30s or the 20s even, right? But it's quite a lot of them in the 70s as well that we've come across so far.
Yes, a lot of them. Yeah.
Surprisingly, I didn't expect that when we embarked upon this trip.
Mm.
Anyway, right, shall we race on? Might as well.
Sure. Yeah.
So the slightly more, for me at least, interesting of the two this time, at least. This time shot in Friendsville, Tennessee, which sounds very pleasant. Lord Shango, aka Soulmates of Shango. I'm guessing that would have been a re-release to try and make it seem more like a
Mm.
blaxploitation film, because it is
Mm.
a all black cast film, right?
Yep.
Also, aka The Color of Love. Um, this is from 1975. Stars Marlene Clark from Ganja and Hess, which is a film we already watched, which
Mm.
I liked a great deal this time round, and you were not so keen on it, if you remember Ganja and Hess. And I think Ganja and Hess is probably quite, yeah, a bit of a template for this film as well, actually, I think.
Mm.
So it takes place in a kind of weird. I don't really know. I quite like films that take place in spaces which are like I don't really know where this is, right? Like what kind of
Mm.
community this is. I don't even know exactly what the time period
Mm.
is. Like it could be the 70s, I guess, but it could also be the 1930s.
Mm.
It's an odd kind of anyway, it's a I don't know, a
Because it's out
village,
in
a
the country,
small
right? So they're kind of like,
yeah.
it's kind of like they're kind of caught in their own time, I think, right?
Yeah,
So,
it's a cultural backwater, that's for sure.
mm.
And it seems to be not even split necessarily. They seem to live side by side. You have a this kind of very devout Christian um um community, but at the same time
Mm.
there's also they don't actually mention the word, I don't think, but it's Yoruba, right, which is this
Mm.
form of kind of African
Voodoo.
derived. Yeah, some people would call it.
Mm.
Yeah, I suppose when people call voodoo, sometimes when they say voodoo, what they mean is voodoo's a bit of a
Sort
catch-all,
of.
isn't it? I think, but yeah.
Well, voodoo is more like Caribbean, isn't it? Right? So isn't, and this
Well,
is
it's
African, right?
well, it's African via Caribbean and then to the United States, right? So
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Right. Okay.
But anyway, yeah. Let's say voodoo, or for shorthand, it's what you imagine when you think of voodoo. It's
Mm.
animals
Right.
being sacrificed, blood and
Mm.
dancing and
Mm.
bongos, all that kind of stuff, right?
Lots
Sorry,
and
not
lots,
to
lots of bongos.
yeah, a lot of bongos. Yeah,
A lot of
not
bongos.
not to not to try and boil down hundreds and hundreds of years of tradition into a lot of
Mm.
bongos, but sometimes that is kind of what it seems like to an outsider, right?
Well, in the movie it is, yeah, I guess right. So,
Yeah. So oh yeah, so it's worth mentioning that not just Christians, Baptists, right? Because the opening scene is
mm.
this baptism in a river. A character kind of turns up angry for no reason we're not quite sure why, and
Well, no, I was clear. It's because it's the boyfriend of the girl being baptized,
yes, and he's a
and
Yoruba guy, right?
he's a
Yeah,
Yoruba guy, and she's being baptized, so he objects to her being baptized into the Christian
I guess
religion.
so.
So,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And he
I thought that
runs
was
into the
clear.
river
So,
to try and stop it, and then they kind of, I mean, to me, seems quite clear-cut murder, but somehow
mm,
I don't know if the movie kind of fudges it a bit, I think, because it's supposed to look accidental, right? And I
mm,
suppose if you filmed it well enough, you could kind of just about get away with maybe someone accidentally being drowned. But the way it seems in this movie, he's clearly held underwater until he dies,
Out of
right?
the water and drowned. Yes. Yeah.
There's no, oh,
But
oh darn it.
I think they were trying to say that like they were trying to baptize him against his will, I think was the idea. And
Right,
so
to
they're
drive
baptizing him by holding him under, but then accidentally,
to drive the paganism out of him, I suppose.
Right, yeah.
But anyway, he ends up dead, and his girlfriend is Marlene Clark's sister, right?
Mm.
And also living with them is Marlene Clark's boyfriend, who's
No, it's not really. It's her daughter.
Oh, yes, sorry, yes, daughter, yes, that's right.
Yeah. Which is another thing because she does not look like her
No,
daughter.
they're about the
She's
same.
and
In
she's
fact, I think Marlene
actually
Clark might even be
no,
younger.
she's older.
Yeah,
she's 2 years older, right? And I was like, why
Right.
would they cast a woman 2 years older as her daughter, right? So
yeah,
it's very strange.
yeah, it is odd. And yeah, so we've got the other character who's is he also a pastor, or is he just a devout Baptist? I think he might be a pastor as well,
I
right?
think he was a pastor. Yeah, I think so.
And then the other important character, as played by Lawrence Cook, is Jabbo, right? And Jabbo is like a local kind of drunk, but a kind of, like a bit of shabby glamour to him. He's always kind of he dressed in his best suit, but his best suit hasn't been washed in a few years or something, right? And he's just a local.
And maybe he's got some kind of powers, and maybe he's the
Yes.
Lord Shango, or
Yes.
you're not sure.
Spoiler alert, he is. I suppose, kind of by the end of the film, or at least he makes
at the end, the daughter is right.
Yeah, he makes a good.
Yeah.
So I suppose the film is very much Marlene Clark's vehicle, and she gives a kind of strange performance in this, like a very wide-eyed, like there's parts of this film where she's acting in a certain way, and I'm thinking, wow, that's a choice. Like it's it's not. I can't say it's bad, but it's just like, well, that's interesting. Why are you doing that there? And why are you like? It's a very odd performance, I would say.
Yeah, a lot of it's like
yes,
she acts with her eyes a lot. Yeah, so,
yes, but it's not consistent because sometimes she's not doing it, but she's not doing that in scenes when you think she should be doing it, and then other times it's I'm not quite sure what's going through her head.
Yeah.
But
well,
judging from
did you
what
read
I
the
read,
trivia about?
Yes, she didn't know either.
Yeah. So
yeah,
she didn't, and she was just thought the whole thing was ridiculous. She'd go back to her hotel room and laugh. She said so.
Yes.
She said she couldn't believe that this was actually happening.
No.
So I think she was just like, what is going on? And she's just like probably didn't know how to react at all.
And to be fair to her, you don't get that. You do get at least it even though it's a weird performance, you do get the sense she's taking it seriously, I think. So I didn't think she was taking it, but no, apparently. So, and further, she goes to apparently it seems to have been the guy they had on set as the Yoruba advisor, according to her, was an ex-pimp from Harlem who'd set up like kind of African village in South Carolina, kind of like his harem, right? Like. And apparently they hired him as a technical advisor, and the hotel they were staying in, they were one room he was in, the other room his wives were in, and whenever he called one, they'd go into his room.
Yeah.
And they apparently they believed everything he said, as gospel truth. Oh yeah, this is Yoruba. I know what I'm doing. Now I don't know anything about Yoruba, so I couldn't tell you if this is authentic or not. I would surprise me neither way, really, I suppose, because I'm totally out of my depth. I don't know anything about this. I mean, I barely know anything about baptism either, right? So
yeah.
Yes,
and you're not going to learn anything from this movie, though.
No, that's true.
No.
So Marlene Clark's boyfriend ends up fucking her daughter and making her pregnant as well. So then basically Marlene Clark goes over from baptism to Yoruba to get what she wants, and there's a number of sacrifices, and then people start dying, right? So it's kind of it's a Christianity versus paganism kind of story, I guess is what it is, right?
Yeah, sure.
And Milford Graves, the famous jazz percussionist, turns up on the bongos which was kind of a surprise. I think he was there as musical advisor, Yoruba musical advisor. I was kind of just, there's a documentary all about him as well called Milford Graves Goes Full Mantis, which I'd quite like to see because I'm a bit of a Milford Graves fan. Also, director Ray Marsh, who also made the last porno flick for the same company, Bryanston. Guess which film he was first AD on, Ron? Many years later. He was first AD on Suburban Commando. So there's an odd.
No way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which,
Wow.
yes, see, the guy who wrote it, Paul Carter Harrison, also wrote that film Youngblood from 1978. Yeah, I mean, it's more interesting than Dear Dead Delilah if we're comparing the two films today, but it doesn't really quite take off, does it?
No, it never really goes. Yeah, it's a little bit. It could use a little bit of editing. It was quite long. There's a lot of like musical interludes.
A lot of music, yeah. I don't mind the music.
Just went long. Yeah. I mean, it was okay, but it was really like, okay, let's and then the story was a little bit kind of all over the place. I don't think it really knew where it was going, and it was it was interesting to see the kind of demonstrations of this kind of religion, if it was indeed true to life, or was but at the same time I don't know how authentic it was, but the story itself was just kind of like meh. Yeah, so
yes,
it didn't
it's
really
not
go anywhere.
Not that engaging, really. Like you said, it's more about if this film were to succeed, a bit like Anja and Hess in a way, it succeeds more on its atmospherics than it does its story. But Ganja and Hess had atmospherics to burn, and this kind of doesn't really. I could have done almost with more music and ceremony and stuff in a way if it got deeper into it rather than the story.
Yeah, I think I'd prefer to watch a documentary about Yoruba than to watch.
Fair enough.
I mean, so that probably be more interesting.
Credit I noticed: the lead singer of the gospel is Ella Mitchell, who is quite a famous gospel singer. I think actually this company Bryanston, one of the weird company Bryanston, they have a weird distribution. They put out Deep Throat, and they were backed by mobsters, Butch Pryor. They also had a music branch who put out some records by her, I think. But she's also, now I've never seen the Martin Lawrence film Big Mama's House, but apparently she is the Big Mama. I know Martin Lawrence is the pretend Big Mama, but she is the Big Mama who's not there. That's Ella Mitchell.
Great.
And she was also on Sesame Street. I think we're about to run out of time, so say Tennessee Hippie one more time, Ron.
Hey, get out of the road, Tennessee Hippies.
There we go. Okay, and I'll see you next time, Ron, because you have to rush.
Back in Tennessee?
No, don't worry. We're going somewhere else.